How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. Over the last 10 years, there's never been a better time to becoming an average NBA player. It's an absolute travesty. Many average players are able to get a $100 million contract playing like crap. Others seem like they robbed an NBA team without making any sort of impact after signing a max deal. Some guys don't even play a single ounce of defense. Is this what basketball come to? With that said, here are the most overpaid player for every single NBA team right now. Starting from alphabetical order with the Atlanta Hawks, Tony Snell, making over $12.1 million. $12 million too much. Too bad the Bucks signed him for 4 years, $46 million in summer 2017. Has not helped the team whatsoever. Detroit got rid of him for Dwayne Dedmon, who got released. 6 games so far, averaging 2 points. The 29-year-old's best days are long gone. Will always be known for his awful stats in 28 minutes. 5 zeros. Pretty much produces similar numbers with the Hawks, getting paid more than Rondo, DeAndre Hunter, Trey, John Collins, all the young guys. LOL. The Boston Celtics, some of y'all gonna get angry at me, but it's the truth. Kemba Walker, $34.3 million, banged up to start the season with a knee injury. At this point, many would rather take younger Terry Rozier over the underachieving Kemba, whose name also gets brought up in trade talks. Signed a 4-year $140 summer 2019, disappointing in the semis and conference finals, getting outplayed consecutively by Kyle Lowry and Goran Dragic. Just because he's likable doesn't give him a pass for not delivering. A volume shooter, not that good on D. Marcus Smart more valuable to the C's than Kemba. If Walker doesn't play, honestly doesn't hurt the Celtics too that much as long as JT and JB dominates. The Brooklyn Nets, DeAndre freaking Jordan, who's been an absolute travesty on defense in every way imaginable. Unplayable, but has to play since there's no other centers after trading the likable and hardworking Jared Allen to the lazy DeAndre freaking Frauden. Yes, he has a high field goal percentage and gets dunks from Harden, but can't move his feet. A fossil, gets beat on the pick and roll every single time. He was already declining in 2019, but somehow got a deal worth 4 years, $40 million. Absolute lunacy. It's pathetic how bad he is. Only because KD and Kyrie likes him, DJ gets his money like that. I'd much rather prefer Dwight Howard if I'm Brooklyn any day of the week. The fact that Jordan is making 4 times as money as Dwight Howard, every time the Nets look at their payroll, they should have a legal right to change the last name Jordan to Fraudan. Jordan to Frauden. Doesn't matter if the big three each drop 40. Every time Frauden's guarding the other team, it's a guaranteed bucket. He should be getting the minimum instead.
DeAndre apparently oblivious.
I don't care how harsh I'm being, but that's the truth. Steve Nash has been a terrible head coach. Frauden straight up stinks. If there was any award for him, he should be nominated for the Defensive Social Distancing Award because he plays defense like everybody on the opposing team has COVID. The definition of letting the other team shoot the ball through the net every single time. The Charlotte Hornets is not Gordon Hayward, but Cody Zeller, the third highest paid guy on the team, has been with the franchise since 2013, 8th season. Charlotte gave him a 4-year $56 million extension in 2016, making over $15 million. Injury prone, one of the prime examples of a bad contract on a bad franchise. The Chicago Bulls, Otto Porter Jr., $28.4 million, awful contract, highest paid on the team, comes off the bench half the time, hasn't helped the struggling franchise one bit. 12.5 points, getting almost $30 million. It's laughable. The Wizards gave him over 106 in 2017. The fact that he's getting paid more than Giannis, Ingram, and DeRozan in 2021. The fact of the matter is, Porter is half of what he's worth. The players making around $14 million this season, the Kelly Oubre's, Will Bartons, and Davis Bertans of the world, those guys are better than him as well. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I want to say Taurean Prince, but the answer is Kevin Love. Absolutely staggering. After LeBron left, the franchise gave Love a 4-year $120 million extension. Hard to trade for that offer for a diminishing former star getting paid till 23. I don't see anybody wanting him. Maybe the franchise buys him out in 22. Never stays healthy, hurt too often, too unreliable. Since 2017, 60 games played, 59 games, 22, then 56. A calf injury after 2 games into this season, usually misses more time than expected. Cleveland shouldn't expect much production from him going forward, not to mention he's making more than Joel Embiid this season. Dallas Mavericks, James Johnson, the most expensive bodyguard in the NBA, $16 million on the year. Miami gave him plenty years ago, plays 20 minutes a game, single digits. In case anybody tries to act tough on Luka, Johnson's responsible for putting them in their place. As a basketball player, Johnson turns 34 in February, rookie way past his prime. Denver Nuggets, the underachieving Gary Harris, over $19 million. The team should have traded him when they had the chance. After his minor injuries, continues to remain average, a terrible outside shooter under 30%, 11 points on the season for a starting 2 guard, just doesn't cut it, too inconsistent. Also play absolutely pathetic against the Lakers last playoffs, average 4.2 points, 26% from the field, had 9 more points in games 6 and 7 versus the Clippers than the entire Lakers series. Detroit Pistons, Blake Griffin, unfortunately a shell of himself, doesn't have it anymore. Despite being just 31 years old, looks 41, no more lift on those legs. Really can't blame the Clippers on trading him. $36.8 million this season, around 13 points a game, under 40% shooting, making more than the next 3 guys on his roster combined. Will have a player option of $39 million next season. Painful to watch him decline. Golden State Warriors, Andrew Wiggins, his contract a mess, $29.5 million, way too much, but I do give him credit for trying lately and being better on the Draymond factor perhaps helps. Also a much improved outside shooter, still shaky jumper. Golden State's environment seems to impact his all-around play. It's still up to him to put in the work and get better. Houston Rockets, John Wall, good to see him back, but simply not reliable enough to stay healthy. $41 million, way overpaid. He's worth half of that right now, unless proven otherwise. The fact that he's currently the 4th highest paid player in the association, more than Harden, LeBron, and KD, an absolute triple travesty. The Wizards made plenty of poor decisions. After a small sample size, one can argue Wall's not even the 2nd best player on the team. Christian Wood has been balling, and Victor Oladipo right now I would take over Wall. The fact that Wall makes more than Wood and Depot combined, not very good. Houston doesn't look like they're gonna make the playoffs, that's too bad. Indiana Pacers, none of their starters are overpaid, so I'm gonna go with Gogo Benza. The sophomore barely plays, makes nearly $3 million, getting more than Aaron Holiday and Jakar Sampson. The Los Angeles Clippers, right now, I'm still going with Paul George, especially that fat extension. Is championship or bust for LAC. Anything short will be a major failure based on how he's playing this season. Worth every penny so far, but the 2021 playoff remains a mystery. Will be 31 the time postseason rolls around. The next couple years after, the Benjamins more than you can count. In 3 years, PG might be the top 5 most overpaid guy, but it won't matter if he's able to prove 90% of the NBA community wrong by winning a title with a franchise that's yet to get past round 2. The Los Angeles Lakers, Rob Pelinka did a magnificent job getting rid of Danny Green for Dennis Schroeder, who's making $16 million, worth what he is. I'm going with Wesley Matthews, $3.6 million, plays 20 minutes a game off the bench, no longer his former self. You could argue Jared Dudley, but does keep the team afloat when guys argue nobody is overpaid for this team. The Memphis Grizzlies, Gorgie Deng, making more than Montrezl Harrell, Kuzma, and Caruso combined, actually playing better than the last 3 seasons. 4 years, $64 million from the Wolves. It would be a miracle if this team's able to make the playoffs with Gorgie Deng the highest paid guy on the roster. Miami Heat, Andre Iguodala, $15 million. The 37-year-old hasn't helped the team much, under 5 points a game, wasn't that good in the playoffs last season anyway. The 3rd highest paid guy on the team, at least Kelly Olynyk's draining threes. Milwaukee Bucks, Brook Lopez on the decline, very slow this season, averaged 10 points, 5 rebounds, gonna turn 33 in April. 2 years ago, it looked like he might be on his way out the league, but making $12.6 million on the season, over 13 the following 2. His best days are behind him. Bucks overpaid him, should have kept Malcolm Brogdon, but that's too bad. Minnesota Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio, the 30-year-old having the worst statistical season so far, 6-5, career lows, comes off the bench, wasting away on a terrible team, still can't shoot, paid $17 million on the year, nearly 18 the next. Despite being labeled a bust, he'll still end up making over $100 million for his career. New Orleans Pelicans, too many overpaid guys. I'm going with Eric Bledsoe. Despite Steven Adams making $29 million, at least we know what we'll get from the strong big New Zealander every night. Bledsoe is a no-no in the playoffs. The team probably won't even make the playoffs anyway. Underachieves, does not get the Pelicans over the hump, while Lonzo Ball, despite being in the final year of his rookie contract, overpaid for his inconsistent production. JJ Redick looks like he's aged and been struggling with the long ball this season. The New York Knicks, the underachieving, disappointing young guy, the answer is Frank Ntilikina, has no confidence in his shooting, might be out of the NBA very soon. No improvement, deeper and deeper into the bench. The fact that the 22-year-old on his rookie contract, the most overpaid guy on the team, tells us a lot. Frankie Smokes, the third highest paid player in New York. I bet most of you didn't know that. OKC Thunder, not Al Horford. Despite getting nearly $28 million, at least he plays and puts up 11-7. The answer is Trevor Ariza, who still hasn't been with the team all season, hasn't played yet for personal reasons. $12.8 million wasted. Orlando Magic is not Aaron Gordon, who's been a huge disappointment. It's Al-Farouq Aminu, one of the weirdest free agent signings in 2019. Good for producing nothing with his 3 years $29 million deal. Averaged 4.3 points a season ago. Some of you probably forgot which team he's on after leaving Portland. Philadelphia 76ers, Tobias Harris, 34.3 mil. My goodness gracious, more than Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, teammate Embiid, and Nikola Jokic. What the heck? That fat $180 million contract, way too much. He's played well in the regular season, but was an absolute travesty in the playoffs. Tobias got absolutely destroyed, abused, annihilated, and humiliated by the better Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Going 2 of 15 from 3 in that series, getting swept doesn't cut it. A good role player, but not all-star material in my book. The fact that a non-all-star NBA player was able to make over $33 million and then over $40 million in 2024, somebody will always have a more ridiculous contract than your team's most overpaid player. Tobias needs to show up in the playoffs. The Phoenix Suns, even though Chris Paul is overpaid, he will get plenty of credit for helping this team make the playoffs if they get in. The 35-year-old lost to the Suns in back-to-back games, especially Friday night, didn't call timeout and jacked up a half-court shot while trying to win it. No longer a top 10 player and the third highest paid guy in the association, making more than Harden, KD, and LeBron alone makes Paul overpaid. CP's no longer on their level in terms of superstar status anymore. Portland Trailblazers, Rodney Hood, who hasn't been the same since his Achilles injury. A terrible season, averaging 3 points on 36% shooting on the year, doesn't have his rhythm, making over 10 mil on this season, hasn't looked like an NBA player in 2021. Sacramento Kings, way too many overpaid guys on the roster, team's a mess. I'm going with Buddy Hield, who's had issues with Luke Walton to nobody's surprise. He's been playing like crap all season, slightly over Harrison Barnes since we know what the vet will bring every night. He is who he is, but Hield, after having contract disputes and being overly emotional, 4-year $94 million not looking so good. With Tyrese Halliburton on the rise, Hield's role will be limited even more if he's not traded. San Antonio Spurs, Jakob Poeltl. It's not DeMar or LaMarcus since they have the biggest roles. There's plenty of guys paid more around the league not as good. Poeltl has been very disappointing as a lottery pick, making over $8 million on the year, paid till 23, will be viewed as a forgotten buzz. Toronto Raptors, Pascal Siakam, who's not living up to his contract, appears to have lost his confidence, hasn't proven to be a good #1 option, shot 50+% each of his first 3 seasons. After Kawhi left, his percentage dropped from 55 to 45, $29 million, a lot, not playing like an all-star level player. Utah Jazz, Mike Conley, much better this season, 16 and 6 assists expected from him, now 33 years old, the last year of his $153 million deal, $34.5 million, insane being the 11th highest paid guy and never making an all-star team, more bread than Kawhi, AD, and Dame. Washington Wizards, Russell Westbrook, tied as the 2nd highest paid player in the association. The team will likely miss the playoffs, can't guard anybody, can't guard a parked truck. Scott Brooks has no idea what he's doing. Russ averaging under 20 a game, still terrible from 3, a turnover machine. His game simply not aging well despite being 32. If Bradley Beal demands a trade, Westbrook will likely be stuck on bad teams until his contract's up. Who do you guys think is the most overpaid player in the NBA today? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe for more content, more good stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.